Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Noah. Thank you sincerely for taking some time out of your life to be here with me. This video is going to be a deep dive into what's been going on in my head, in my personal life, my thoughts, my feelings, how I'm experiencing them, how I'm processing and handling them, so to speak. And we're just going to jump into that sort of content. This is going to be a video that very much is like a relic of yesteryear on YouTube, where I used to just hit record on my laptop when I first started the channel back in 2012, 2013. And I just dumped my personal life out onto the internet to process it, to hopefully, of course, connect with you guys and see if we might be able to relate, to get feedback if you guys want to participate in the comment section. This sort of thing can be really healthy for me when I'm doing it for the right reasons, and I think I am now. The reason I mention this is because these videos have every opportunity to run long. I completed a 5-month rehab program, 4 weeks back into the real world, and I was bound to experience some stuff. Thoughts, feelings, difficulties, and successes. So let me set the stage for this life update, now that I said that. 2 weeks ago, someone very near and dear to me came to me with some personal issues. And of course, I'm not going to detail that person and their name, and I'll respect their anonymity. But the personal issue was that this person wasn't sure they wanted to be in a committed married relationship any longer with their partner. I'm very close to both the people in this marriage, and this news really, really troubled me. I instantly had a lot of thoughts, right? Of course, I had tons of feelings, and I wanted to make suggestions and give advice in that situation. But I chose to just listen and then ask questions that I thought might help gear the thinking of this person that I care about. Not tell them what to do or try to rescue or fix or change anything, but at least ask some tough questions that I hoped would provide an opportunity to clarify what must be really difficult thoughts and emotions going on for this person. So that conversation happened right before I took a big trip. I took my first sober trip with my wife, Jessie, just recently. The last video that I posted detailed a key component of that trip down to California. I live in Portland, Oregon. A dear friend of mine was getting married in Palm Deserts, California. He asked me if I would be in his wedding as a groomsman. This guy really helped me get sober, and so I decided I would go. But I knew that this could be something that might be difficult. Change is stressful for me. Breaking my routine and my patterns and my schedule, pretty stressful for me. And when I mean stressful, I just mean, like, physiologically speaking, I kind of have a cortisol dump. I do have a stress response in my brain and my body, and it's very visceral. I can feel it. I've noticed since getting out of treatment, actually, you know what? I've noticed since being in treatment and having something even change there, that anytime a change happens for me, there can be a 1 to 2 week adaptation phase as far as how my spiraling thoughts are, how my mood and emotions are regulated. Those things get pretty fast affected. So it wasn't surprising to me that on this trip to California, understanding and being mindful of time, place, and what's going on, right circumstance, it was hard for me. Pretty much the moment we took off on that trip, my brain started obsessing about old things that very much hurt my feelings. Started reminiscing and thinking about old conflicts I'd had with people. Started thinking about failures that I had experienced in my life. I started experiencing worry, and beyond that, I could tell that I was going into like a limbic state, kind of a survival state of brain. This is something that they impressed upon us ad nauseum when I was in treatment, was that when we are triggered or activated, there's a hormonal response that creates a lot of feelings, sadness, anxiety, calm, or whatever, and then thoughts that are associated with those. And ideally, you want to regulate, understand what's going on, and not act overly impulsively on these activations, right? Don't do anything unnecessary or potentially harmful for your wellness just because you're stressed. So I went into this trip, I got triggered, started obsessing and going through old thought spirals, and that's sort of where I stayed like most of the trip. It was frustrating. It was really, really frustrating to be hashing out these old things in my brain alone that I kind of thought I'd already come to terms with. I have like a history of dabbling with pure OCD, and when I get stressed, that sort of stuff comes on pretty hard. And it stayed with me most of the entire trip. It really did. I have some family issues that have not been resolved. I kind of talked a little bit about it on this channel, but about a year ago when politically speaking and social justice speaking, things were really popping off. Our family, my personal family, got fairly divided over a few issues that I don't think needed to divide us, but they kind of did. Emotions and feelings ran high. Politics were very, very intense, and some of us didn't set particularly good boundaries. Some of us responded, and I'll speak for myself, with a lot of fear and defensiveness. And it was just disastrous for the foundation of my personal family. And I started replaying a lot of those stuff. And I used tools like ABC therapy and Triple C, catching it, checking it, changing it in terms of the validity of the fears that I have, asking myself if they are true and can I prove it, making sure that I go through a 5-part communication system with myself as to what I want and am I willing to ask for it, even within myself. Things to try to soothe me, and they kind of did, but it didn't really help my mood all that much. And I'm trying to give myself a little grace for the fact that on this road trip, I was fairly stressed for most of the time because it was my first sober road trip. It was my first time being around anybody who was drinking. Even though I was only minimally around people that were drinking, I still had to see it. It was the first time I actually saw the ingestion of my drug of choice, which is alcohol. And I think I did a really, really good job. The cool thing though, as I shared the fact that I definitely got stressed, I definitely started obsessing, and I had to do a lot of self-soothing, and then I did communicate with my wife, and I reached out to some support system. The cool thing is my actions and my behaviors were fantastic. Like, I'm really proud of me for how I behaved on this trip. I used the tools, I anchored myself, I accepted the discomfort, and I didn't try to run away from it. And I still chose to fully participate in my trip. I definitely shared some good laughter with my wife, and while my brain was hot and pressury and I had to constantly use breath work to just stay calm, just chill, I was still able to laugh. I was still able to enjoy good food. I was still able to go do stuff with her. And that was a really good experience. It was very rewarding. And it was really, really helpful to have some context as to why I might be stressed. I knew what was going on, and it empowered me to just push through and understand that if this was a Band-Aid experience of seeing alcohol in use for the first time and being on the road sober with my wife for the first time, that I'm building and bolstering new memory, right? I'm showing my brain that I can do these things. I can be stressed out, and I can come out on the other end sober and content. Content is something that really got me through this trip and has really been helpful for supporting the married couple whose marriage appears to be ending, is knowing that no matter what I'm thinking, because thoughts are just absurdly unpredictable at times, no matter what I'm thinking, how I respond to those thoughts, really how I respond to those thoughts, and then how I behave in general can still be congruent with who I think I am. And that's something they talked a lot about in treatment. Thoughts are going to come and go, but how you are, what you do, those things you can put real stock in. So I was super pleased, despite dealing with these obsessive thoughts and kind of these sad feelings and anxious feelings, that the Noah I want to be and the Noah I think I am showed up for himself every single day. I walked the beach, I ate the food, I got the sunshine, I filmed some footage, I spoke with my wife. I really chose to be there no matter what and to not run and hide. And those were the sort of feelings and thoughts, by the way, that I would binge drink over. In fact, I would binge drink over nothing, right? But if I were to ever be that uncomfortable in my own skin, which I did become in moments on this trip, that's a complete green light to go ahead and check out. And that's just not who I want to be today. So my contentment on the whole trip was fantastic. And as the trip went on, it did get easier. So that is the update on me kind of going through a bit of adversity as far as my history goes with what can be triggering for relapse. I had a plan for the trip. I followed through with that plan. I love how it overall turned out, and I dealt with my uncomfortable thoughts and feelings in the healthiest possible way. But boy, when they rev up, do they hold on tight. And I know a lot of you can relate. I know a lot of you have come here because you're obsessors, because you have a history with depression and anxiety and or addiction, substance. It's all pretty comorbid, right? So I know you guys can feel me on that. But I was in a groove before I left, and it definitely sucked to fall out of rhythm and just be so obviously distressed by it. It's like, damn, I have a lot of work to do. And I'm willing to do that work. So I got back and things did immediately get better. I came home, I got back into my normal routine, and that was really, really good. And it didn't take long for me to start settling back in, for those obsessive thoughts to calm down, for that sense of peace and wellness to improve, which was cool. It also helped me compartmentalize the trip and saying, hey, it was a big deal. A lot happened on that trip. Your brain went into survival mode and you were a bit frantic inside your ears. And now I'm settling back down, which is really, really good. Another thing that's come up since I've spoken to you guys that's been really sad is that a very close friend of mine relapsed. And relapse is something that happens for those of us that are addicts and alcoholics. Not a requirement, but certainly something that does happen. It's a big part of my story. And the guy who relapsed is someone I just care about so much. So much. And I would just about do anything for, as long as it didn't compromise my sobriety and my recovery. And if he's watching this video, because of course I'm not going to say his name, if you're watching this video, you know who you are, and I love you, man. Like, I really love you, and I'm thinking about you, and I'll keep reaching out to you, and I'll keep being consistent and sturdy and dependable and safe for you. And I want to see you well, and I want to see you safe, and I want to see you calm and at peace. So reach out to me if you're watching, okay? And know that I'm literally thinking about you every single day. But this experience with this friend who relapsed after a lot of hard work to get sober and work through a lot of difficult things, it has brought up some old instincts to jump in and fix situations that are entirely out of my control, and not for me to fix. That was one of the same things that has come up with this married couple whose marriage appears to be ending, at the very least aggressively changing, possible separation or what have you. Is I want to go in and I want to rescue people. And something we learned a lot about when I was in treatment is the importance, as far as something I needed to commit to if I wanted to stay healthy and sober, of not getting in the triangle. And the triangle is rescuing, the rescuer, victim, perpetrator triangle. I want to rescue in this situation. I want to go find my friend, and I just want to bring him home and take care of him until he, gets well, or until he can think clearly, whatever thoughts I'm having. And I know I can't do that. That's not how I can support him. It's not my job. And the same thing for this married couple. I want to stop what's happening from happening. I really do. I want it to stop. I think to myself that they're making an error, and I have my own opinions about things, but it's not necessarily true, and it's definitely not my job to go in there and fix a situation like this. It's my opportunity, as I keep telling myself, just to listen, to certainly share my thoughts and feelings at least once if they want to hear them, but then just to be as supportive as I can without trying to change the outcome. And remembering that these people are not victims. That's a tough one for me as well. So that's been hard, but the key thing that a few people that care about me have impressed upon me that I knew, but it's always good to hear, is that I can't do anything to upset my own recovery. I can't do anything that would possibly derail me from staying consistent and healthy with myself and staying right-sized about my involvement or my role in other people's personal lives. So I've had to implement boundaries with these people that are pretty hard, but they're important, and I believe they're important because I trust my leadership. So I had a chance to talk to the lead therapist that I've been working with from Treehouse, which is the recovery center I was at, and he was sort of helping me to process these thoughts and make sure that I'm not doing any enabling, nor am I doing any rescuing, nor am I thinking that it's important for me to perpetrate on anyone. Because when I first heard about the married couple, I got a little bit angry. I felt anger, and I was confused by it, almost like I wanted to say the right thing that might just slightly sizzle the right person to get them to pause, because I didn't think what was happening was necessarily right at the time. So I'm glad I can be patient through these sort of things. I'm glad that I'm not doing any massive reactions. I'm just sort of there to listen and there to experience. These are also things I would have happily drank over in the past too. And that's the part that's going really, really well, is being able to be someone who can just listen and be supportive and caring for people I love without it derailing me. Being able to empathize and not sympathize, not like take on other people's emotions, but to be sturdy and stable and ready and willing to be dependent upon. Like I was working with one of the counselors at Treehouse a lot on one of my biggest areas of sadness, which is that I have not been a consistent person for people for a long time, if ever, depending on how you want to look at it. In my addiction, right, whether that even be a day or two or a week or two sober, but in the addicted space, I very, very, very much was unpredictable to myself and to other people. My emotions were unpredictable. My reactions to my thoughts and feelings were highly volatile at times and unpredictable. And my behavior was just unpredictable. I couldn't be counted upon, and I hated that. It was something that just trounced my self-esteem. So something that, his name is Nevin, this counselor I talked about, was that if I focus on the right things, if I keep myself in the right space, if I get healthy and have the right priorities for myself and am consistent for myself, eventually, I will be able to be someone eventually I'll be able to be someone other people can count on. Someone that other people can know will be dependable and will be there for them. I cried over this a lot when I was in treatment because it sounded so far away, and my sense of identity was so bad, and I was so ashamed of myself. So the good that has come out of some pretty sad situations that there's a heaviness in my heart about them. The good is that I'm still sober, and that these people know that I'm here, and they are reaching out to me, and I am reaching out to them, and I can handle this. I can be an actual friend to people I care about. That's a big, big deal for me. That's like a huge deal for me, because all the people in my life that I have respected and admired the most for all of my life are the people that I can count on the most, the people that I can trust will be there, the people that say what they do and do what they say, the people that are consistent and ready and available. Those are the people that have made the biggest impact in my life. And that's the type of person I want to be. And while I would never, ever in a million years have wished the stress that my friend is going through right now and that this married couple are going through, I would never wish the stress on them or anyone, because they're such good people, and I hate to see people hurting. I am glad that at least I am able to be here for them and live congruently with who I want to be. I essentially trained for this opportunity to be a good friend to people in need and to really care. That's the other thing, like really care. I didn't care about a lot in hindsight when I was in my addiction. I logically knew things were sad, but I didn't feel things on a pretty deep level. And now I'm able to balance that reason and that logic and that objectivity with healthy and good emotion, feeling the emotion, but making sure that the driver's seat is still based off of healthy behaviors and all that. So I'm happy about that. But it's been tough at times. It just has worked out pretty well. So I think those are the main things I wanted to talk about. I really wanted the opportunity just to express how that all went in my head. And I think I did a pretty good job. I don't think I left too much on the table. I also got through the CrossFit Open this year on another little note and found out that I am not in as good a shape as I thought I was. If I happen to do CrossFit, I'm one of those people that loves CrossFit. I love talking about it. I love bringing people into CrossFit. I just think it's a really cool thing. And we did the Worldwide Open. So if you're not a CrossFitter, then it's just this 3-week competition where every week, everyone who does CrossFit, we all get together and we do the same workouts. I did those workouts. They were so effing hard. It was easily the worst I've ever done in an open. My wife kicked the shit out of me, but I had a really, really good time. I had so much fun. I actually got to do one of the workouts on my trip in Palm Desert, and so that was really, really cool too. And I got to coach a lot of classes, and I just had a good experience. But it's made me want to reassess my fitness goals and get better and be more and do more and just enjoy fitness as much as possible. So that did go on as well, and that was a fun experience. I am going to not this video, because this video is it's run the perfect amount of time, but you know, it's pretty long. But I also got this from YouTube, and I'm going to be doing an unboxing of my silver play button and kind of tell a little story about when I started my YouTube and how Anyway, getting this was a major lifetime goal for me. So that's pretty sweet. And I suppose the last bit of news is that I am shooting on a new camera. I don't know if you guys can tell how crispy, clean, and sharp I look, but this is on a Sony a7S III with a beautiful G Master lens at 2.8, 16 to 35 millimeter, which is that wide angle with a little bit of zoom. It's so beautiful. I am so excited to film content on it. So I hope you guys enjoy what I do think is a massive quality uptick as well. And I've had some cool work opportunities come up. So that's been really cool as well. I've been the lead editor lately for an online show that I'm really enjoying. Of course, I still love making content here and I have lots of ideas, so I look forward to implementing them. And I manage another channel that's going pretty well. My marriage. Let's talk briefly about my marriage, and I think I'll make a separate video about that. But I just want you guys to know that Jesse and I are doing pretty well, maybe even great. We're learning a lot about each other. We're both working very hard on ourselves, and our communication skills are improving day by day by day. She did a hard thing, and she started her own therapy, which is something that historically has not been something she was interested in doing. But in light of everything that's gone on with me going to treatment for what has been now the third time, it was impressed upon her by my counseling team that it would be really useful for her to go get some support for herself, not so that she can be like a better wife to me, no, so she can be a better friend to herself, a better understanding person of her own needs and wants and difficulties, process her own anger and pain. And she's doing that. She's doing really hard work. It's not been like easy, but it's been going really well in terms of it doing what it's supposed to do, right? Which is helping all of us to wrangle difficult thoughts and experiences and put them in their right place and make sure we're thinking about them in the right way and we're feeling them how we should be feeling them, with escape being a pretty natural tendency for all of us. So she's been doing that. I continue to do my own personal work. I'm in a book study called Knowing How, 20 Concepts of How to Rewire the Brain Going Over Childhood Trauma. I do that weekly. I'm still in contact with my sponsor every week at least, but usually a little bit more than that. I've been going to my one group a week at Treehouse, which is ongoing group therapy, which is really good. Doing my alumni stuff, just trying to be healthy, man. Just doing my best to be healthy. I've been eating a lot of ice cream as well. A lot of ice cream as well. But yeah, I'm proud of me right now. And I think those are the key things that I wanted to share with you guys. So thank you for taking the time just to let me update you on my life. I really appreciate it. It's been good for me, and I knew I wanted to do this and I wanted to connect with you. If you made it this far, this is one of my favorite things to do. If you made it this far in a very long-winded video, I want you to put in the comment section, F yeah. Capital F Y A. F yeah. That tells me that you're a hammer and you hung out the whole time to spend some time with me. Also, in the comments below, if you have any thoughts about anything, your own personal life, about anything I said, any clarifying questions you want to have or anything you want to ask me that maybe I could answer, do it. Participate. I think that's a good thing. I think it's an important thing, particularly for those of you that have never left a comment. It's fun, and it lends itself well to connection, be it on this internet medium or not. So please leave me a comment about anything at all. I'd love to read them. I think it's important. I do think I have one of the dopest viewerships on YouTube. We might not be massive, but I think we are high quality. That's for sure. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Lots of more things I want to talk about, including my wife. I want to take you guys through a workout one of these days, a day in the life, now that I have such a cool camera. Capture it all in nice 4K, and so many other things. We'll just keep going. We'll keep chipping away. My name is Noah. I appreciate you, and we will see you guys in the next video. Stay healthy, stay happy, stay sane. One day, 1 hour, 1 minute at a time. We can get through what we are going through, I promise. And never ever forget, we can do hard things and still like the person we see in the mirror when the day's over. Adios, my friends.